Are you avoiding everyone after a tragic loss? Is someone that you love pushing you away because they've lost someone? Especially after losing a child. I hear this so often. I'm Christy Bundakumara, psychiatric nurse practitioner, but unfortunately an expert in grief, as I have lost 3 children over the course of 17 years, all very different circumstances. And I'm learning to grieve. And one of those ways to grieve or to help through that process is finding your support system. I often hear people say, I don't talk to my family anymore. I can't talk to my husband. I've withdrawn from my friends. My friends have said things that hurt my feelings. And so yeah, I think this is a common theme among people who have had tragic loss. When I was going through my 45 days of grief, I came to a point where I knew I needed to do some grieving with my family. My brother, my mother, my father, and allow them to give me support. And I think I'm in a place where I can do that, but one of the things that I realize is that many people can't do that. They don't know how to do that. And during my 45 days of grief, I visited Florida. They live in a couple different areas in Florida. We traveled, visited, sat down, looked at pictures of Reggie and Maya, and did what I call controlled grief. And allowing someone to grieve with me and to grieve. So often, parents who have lost a child feel like nobody can understand what they're going through. And you know what? You're right. But that doesn't mean they can't be a support. And it really starts, I can remember the first time I thought this. The day that Reggie died, it was late at night. There were a couple people here at the house supporting me through the night. And then the next morning, there was a ton of people here. And people were bringing me food and flowers and like cleaning my house. And I remember sitting in the corner thinking, this doesn't help. This does not help. But what I want to teach you today is even in the midst of that trauma, my son had just died. I had all these people in my house, and my first reaction, the thing that felt overwhelming, was this does not help. I don't want these people here, but I don't want to be alone. And I know we don't want to be alone, but it's so frustrating and painful because we feel like it doesn't matter what people do, it doesn't help. And that's actually true. Nobody can take this pain away from you. It's your pain. But there's one thing that you can do as you look at your support system and you look at the people who are trying to be helpful. And I remember sitting there as all of this stuff was going on, and I just wanted to die myself. Like I just didn't. And I thought, oh, look at that. Somebody's making Maya smile. Look, all these people care and they don't know what to do. And so I was able to, what I call, ground and find 3 positive things to focus on. And we can do this throughout our life. I hear stories of people who, oh, I don't talk to my best friend anymore because she wasn't very helpful when my daughter died, or, just different stories like that. And I want to challenge you, if that's you, I want to challenge you that how much of that was you pushing them away versus them not being there for you. Because we don't know what to do with this pain and these feelings, and the people who are trying to support us, it's not helping. And so we're pushing them away. But long term, that's worse. And I'm not saying, if somebody is very offensive, but I can tell you there is a ton of times where someone is attempting to connect with me. And it actually just happened yesterday. This woman came up to me and she's like, oh, my experience with grief was when my dog died. And no disrespect to dog lovers, but those are not your children. And it's not the same. But I was able to stop for a second and say, almost like this poor woman is trying to help. It's almost comical, but she's trying to be helpful. She's trying to connect. And in her mind, she was being respectful. She was trying to be supportive. And I think we need to have a little more grace for other people too. I talk a lot in other videos about having grace for yourself in this grieving process, but also having grace for others. And when somebody says something offensive or not helpful, don't push them away, because there's nothing that anyone can say or do to take this pain away from you. But I have found comfort in grieving with others. And maybe that's not for everyone. I am a true, strong extrovert, so I process externally, and I need to process externally. And so choosing to sit around with my family and look at pictures of Reggie and Maya and hear stories. But it also gave me opportunities to hear their grief, their pain. I'm not the only one that lost somebody. And yes, I'm mom. And yes, I believe it's literally the worst thing that could happen to somebody. But I need my support system. And I believe that you need your support system. And so it's not just about, sometimes it's nice to have a friend who understands, a friend who has lost a child also. I went to dinner with a girlfriend of mine a couple nights ago and just kind of talked about Mother's Day's coming and what are we doing to take care of ourselves, because she lost her son about a year after Reggie died. But also, it doesn't have to be people who understand. It can just be people who care about you. And so I challenge you to, mend appropriate relationships of people who want to be supportive. Find your support system. Find your people. Everyone has their people. And even if it's just one person, 1 to 3 close people that can be your support, that are willing to sit around for an hour and cry with you and let you look at pictures. Right? It's a vulnerable time. It's a vulnerable place. And whether this happened, 10 days ago or 10 years ago, you still need to take some time to grieve. And that grief, that pain will be with us forever. But it doesn't have to control our life. It doesn't have to make us depressed and impact everything, including our relationships. So my challenge to those of you who have had tragic loss is to find your support system. Find your people. It's part of your mental strength. It's part of your journey. I believe that you are mentally strong.